Justice, I'm asking mercy, please. I have two children that I don't want to fall victim to the system like I did with no upbringing, proper upbringing. One is just turned 13. He's a quarterback in high school. I've yet to see him play. I have a son who's 8 years old, who was 5 when I left. I have not seen
I feel sorry for them.
That's why we ask mercy,
Wait,
not for me,
yeah.
but for them.
Does that make any sense? That you can use that as a card to play later of it's my children who are being
Punished.
that me punishing you for your intentional acts, knowing that it can result in harm to them. It's my fault. This motion to revoke probation in your case, Mr. Robertson, states that on April 11th, 2022, in this court, you were sentenced to 5 years in prison, probated for 10 years for assault family violence. Is that true and correct?
Sir.
Allegation 1 states you committed the offense of failure to identify by giving false fictitious information on or about July 3rd, 2022 in Chambers County, Texas, which was a violation of condition 1 of your probation order, which is don't commit a crime while on probation. Is that true or untrue?
True.
Are you pleading true voluntarily and because it is true?
Yes, sir.
You understand that a voluntarily and knowingly made plea of true to one or more violations of probation, that's all it takes to grant a motion to revoke probation. Your probation can now be revoked and you can be sentenced up to 5 years in this case. So no less than 2 nor more than 5 years confinement. This is a 3rd-degree felony. Knowing that, do you insist on pleading true to that?
Yes, sir.
I find you are pleading true voluntarily. You understand and appreciate the consequences of pleading true.
Yes, sir.
Is there an agreement?
No, it's becoming you, Judge. What I was asking, one of the questions you had raised, Judge, is you said something about 2022 is when he got put on probation, and basically what happened as to why we're here now. I think we're in 2026. Judge, to my understanding, and I don't want to give you inaccurate information, so I would ask that you look this up yourself. But to my understanding, he's basically done 3 years in prison. What he's telling me is that, and like I say, I don't want to give bad information, so look, I want you to look it up. But to my understanding, from talking to him, he didn't report and do all of that because he was sitting in prison. So what I was asking you to do today, Judge, is this: since he's looking at 2 to 5, I was asking the court to do 2 years and give him his credit for the time served that he was in prison. Because he was in prison.
When did he go?
No, I don't know the exact date, so I don't want to tell you bad information.
Anybody?
Do you know the exact time you
Sir,
served?
I don't have access to it.
I don't know the exact. Do you know
I
the
arrived in Texas Department of Criminal Justice, July 2nd, 2023.
Okay, so July of 2023 to when you got
discharged, November 24th, 2025.
Okay,
It's a little more than 2 weeks.
on this reporting for probation, how long did he report?
He came for the initial intake.
And that was it?
That is
What was the date? It says May.
It was April 14th, 2022.
And then he went to prison, I think, in 20.
Okay, that was right after this hearing.
Yeah, he showed up. He showed up.
Wait. No, that's not what he just said. When did you go to prison?
I went to prison in 23.
That was a year later.
Right, no, I thought you had asked when he showed up.
Okay, so for a year, he was out baseball. You never reported, right?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
No, but he showed up for the initial one. You're right. I got you. You're 100%.
Yeah, but yeah, okay,
Right.
because
Right.
the initial, everybody reports for the initial, but it's what happens after that.
Right.
Because you're on probation for 10 years, 100, that's if it carried out, which we always shorten it for people who do well. That's 120 months, right? So he did 1 and then was gone.
Well,
119 months he's not going to complete because
right.
he took off on his own.
No, the only reason I brought it up to you, Judge, is
Plus committed crimes of failing to identify.
right. But I didn't want you to think that from 2022 to today's date, he was just out there. No, he was actually locked up for that however 2 years and how many months that he was locked up.
And when did he come into custody?
What was the date he came to custody again?
Here in Jefferson County,
No, when he went to prison in 2023.
My initial arrest date was 11/24/23.
11/24/23, and then you
What was
got,
on 7/2/23?
what was on seven?
11/2/23.
You told me something happened on 7/2. I thought that was when you were
That's
arrested.
when he claims that he went to TDCJ.
TDC. Yes, sir.
So we.
I mean, I'm sorry.
See, those.
11, I apologize, Judge Stevens. It's time. 11/24/22.
What happened on that day?
I was arrested
Okay,
in Harris County and I went to prison in July of 23. I got released in November of 25.
What were you arrested for there?
DWI.
so basically that was 6, 7 months that he would, before he went to jail in Harris County in November. From your probation to initial reporting, that's about what, 6, 7 months. And then he gets in custody in Harris County, and then he goes to prison in July. But you're in custody in
Okay,
November.
so allegation 2 states you failed to report to the probation office on or about May 11th, June 20, July 19th, 2022 in violation of your probation order. And that's true.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
And you're pleading true then to committing the offense of failing to identify on or about July 3rd, 2022 and failing to report as alleged in allegation 2, those 2 violations of probation. You're pleading true voluntarily, knowingly, intelligently, and because they are true.
Yes.
Yes,
Is
sir.
that correct?
Yes, sir.
So, and that's why I was asking the judge, since he did basically 2 and a little bit more months in prison, I was asking him, would you please give him 2 months? Well, I'm sorry, 2 years. I misspoke when I said 2 months. Since he did a little more than 2 years in prison, I was asking that you give him 2 years on
minimum.
this case.
The minimum.
Right, and that would give him, because he already set that time out in TDCJ. Huh? No, I think he was, I'm sorry. He was on probation in Jefferson County, but he got picked up in November in Harris County. And if you look at that time from Harris County to when he gets out,
But he really never did much in reporting here. He did the initial and then that was it. But he wasn't, there's several months go by before he's arrested.
yes, sir, that's correct. And so that's why I was asking the court to consider, since he's done more than 2 years and he's been locked up more than 2
Let me
years. If the court would consider 2 years on this case.
I appreciate
and
it.
he's
I appreciate what you're saying. I
right.
understand. But failing to report is like the most important thing.
Yes, sir.
I mean, reporting is the most important thing. That doesn't get you the minimum
Mhm.
punishment. I mean, that's a bad standard. Everybody goes, well, what's the worst that can happen? I'll get the minimum. No.
Mhm.
That's how you inspire people to do the right thing. It stings more. What's state?
Judge, I look at his record to make my recommendation in this regard. This man is no stranger to the system. He's got, by my count, I think it was either 6 or 7 misdemeanor convictions before he was given this. In addition to that,
I count 6.
Thank you, Judge. I think I wrote the number down there. I gave you my copy of that. The part that really speaks volumes, though, is his felony record. He's been given opportunities at probation before. Those were ultimately revoked. There's no reason in the world to give this man the minimum.
How many prior felonies do you have, sir?
To my knowledge, 3.
There's so many you don't even remember, do you? Because you're so far off. Here's the pre-sentence report I'm looking at. Okay, I've got criminal mischief, 5 years deferred. And then you were revoked in 2002 and sentenced to 2 years state jail. So there's 1. Illegal possession of controlled substance in 2005, 2 years in prison. Assault on a public servant, Harris County, 2 years in prison. That's 3 right there. Fraudulent use of or possession of identifying information in Harris County in 2016, 180 days in state jail. There's 4. Then you picked up in 2017, illegal possession of a controlled substance, but did 60 days in the county jail. So I don't know if they reduced that, but that did not end up being a felony conviction, but it was a conviction of a non-felony, so it's another misdemeanor to add to your other 6. So that was a 7th one. Then we go a Class A misdemeanor in 2017, 1 year. Terroristic threat, convicted of a lesser charge. And then this is your 5th case, and you were convicted of it, 5 years in prison, probated for 10 years. That was a final conviction. So we've got 5 felonies, 6 or more misdemeanors, 11 convictions. Can't say that he's not penalty free.
Yes, sir.
My
And
request is
then
5
with
years.
all of that,
Okay.
he walked off the job right off the bat. And what we tried to do to help fix and turn the way was met with an immediate abrupt failure to respect any rule that we tried to administer in giving him another chance. So I stuck my neck out on the line on that. Got it chopped off pretty quickly.
Yeah, Judge, the state's position is I granted grace whenever I did a 5-year sentence probated for 10. At this stage, I don't believe that mercy is warranted here. Justice requires a 5-year sentence.
So,
Okay, Mr. Robertson, go ahead.
so.
You got a chance. Oh, go ahead. Ask him whatever you need.
No, so here's where we are at. Did you hear me ask the judge to give you
Yes, sir.
2 years, right?
Yes, sir.
And I wanted the 2 years because you've done more than 2 years in prison, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's do this real quick. Just simple math. If judge puts you on probation in April, right?
Yes, sir.
And then you go to prison in November, right? What was going on in your life in that 7-month period before you go to prison? Were you having problems, some issues? What was going on?
A lot of problems, but this life, I'm a working man. I never stop, and I never cease to stop working. I take care of my children. I'm a good father. I make mistakes, of course. We all make mistakes. I've served this time. I've served this time. And
So you have
He
a
didn't
family problem?
you didn't answer the question he's asking you.
I'm a working man. I constantly work to provide for my family.
The day I turned 16, I worked 80 cents an hour at 3 a.m. And I have worked ever since 16. Don't tell me, I know, and it pays off, but you got a responsibility.
And I was not accountable. I did not do what I was supposed to do.
Okay.
I understand that.
So were you going through some grief? Were you having any mental problems? Were you
I lost a parent. While incarcerated, I lost a parent. Never had time to grieve, but that's no excuse for not being responsible.
No, it's not.
It's not.
I've lost mine.
It's not. It's not.
And that's not what you're supposed to live your life as though in their spirit, as though they would be proud watching you.
Right.
That's what you do. You just don't do what it takes to get to prison as quick as possible, which was this is the fast track. Don't report, walk off the job from the beginning.
Right. So you heard Mr. Ham was asking the judge to give you 5 years. I was asking the judge to give you 2 years. Judge asked you, hey, Mr. Robinson, talk. So why don't you tell him in your own words why you should get the 2 and not the 5 that Mr. Ham recommended? So talk to him, tell him.
You're looking at the paperwork. I honestly went to prison for something I didn't do. I just spent the last 2+ years in prison for a DWI. The first DWI conviction ever, and I was 0.00 alcohol. And I went to prison.
In my court?
No, sir, in Harris County. And I went to prison.
Wait, how did that happen?
Because the attorney looked at the paperwork and saw that I was on probation, and he told the DA he don't stand a chance. He's not going to complete probation. He committed a crime, and I went to jail. I went to prison.
Who forced you to sign the documents that put you in jail? Who forced you to do that?
You just asked me a question. Who was I forced to do this? I wasn't forced to do it, but I was told that if I did not do it, I stand to go to prison for 10 years or more. So I signed for a 2-year deal.
Well, you made a choice after listening to people who were
I
advising
wasn't the
you.
lawyer, you know that.
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking, yeah, I'm not saying you,
Yeah.
but that's what but
And that was in Harris County.
look, you've got 11 convictions. You can't say that you're naive about the way things, how the system works. You've got charges. You can go to trial. You can ask for a jury trial, or you work deals out. You've done this 11 times, sir. It's not like you're an infant on this. You know how this all works, and you certainly know that when you're on probation, you've got responsibilities that you never performed on this one, on my watch. And what I'm doing is just looking at your criminal history and what you did in this case, which are the basic components of how people get treated. And I don't stand for, I'm going to be lenient if you walk off the job on the first day. I'm not. I'm just not.
Okay.
That's a bad precedent to set to everybody. We'd never get it. They go, well, yeah, I'm going to go. And if I get caught, then he'll give me the Terrence Robertson rule, and I'll just pick up where I left off and not be held accountable and not set an example for everybody. Will do just what you do if they can see that it's an advantage, and and there's no saying, even though it's not a crime, but reporting is the most important thing, even though don't commit a crime is awfully important. You're not on supervision. You're not on probation if you don't report. So we don't have any contact with you. And that's the same speech I give to others. You're not the only one that does this, but people have to
Be held accountable.
well, you're on supervision, and sometimes it takes a while to help people, to fix them, get them on the right track. But you can't do it when you're not on supervision, when you're not reporting. You can't. We're trying to help. We have a 90, I'm going to brag. People roll their eyes, 93% success rate upon probation. 93. The national average is 75. We're way over that because we're dedicated, not only the probation office, but the courts. We don't like to see failure. I don't want to see a failure. I'm trying to get up to 100%. But 93 is, nobody contends with that. We can't find another jurisdiction that has that high of success rate. But the point I'm making is, it's not our fault. But we do regret, and we're frustrated, and we hate to see, we want to pitch a no-hit shutout every time. We want a perfect game. And we know we can't do it, but we get on the mound and try to pitch it by success in every case. And I'm not happy with this. But I've got to treat you the way I'm going to treat others in the same situation. And that is, you're not a novice. Actions have consequences. And I just,
And just if you were not inclined to do minimum, I would ask for maybe 3 or 3.5, because he did accept responsibility. And also he's saying that the trauma of losing his parent affected him, because he did talk about losing his parent. And that's why I was like, not to hit him with the full 5 that Mr. Hammond recommended.
you can't, unfortunately, you can't blame nature. People live and people die. And and if you can't accept that they died, when you can figure out a way to bring them back to life, let me know. But it's not our will. The Creator decides, unless somebody commits a crime, when it's time. And you don't interfere with that. It's the way it is. But it's also an example, a reminder for all of us that life is but a clock's tick away. That's why you do the best you can with what you have, because you don't know when it's going to stop. So we're not supposed to know. I think, as we're supposed to be more concerned about making a fruitful life to ourselves, our family, and those who depend upon us. Anyway, this is too long. Anything else?
Steve,
If there isn't anything else, go ahead.
um, just Steve, I'm asking mercy, please. I have two children that I don't want to fall victim to the system like I did with no upbringing, proper upbringing. One has just turned 13. He's a quarterback in high school. I've yet to see him play. I have a son who's 8 years old, who was 5 when I left. I have not seen.
I feel sorry for them.
That's why we ask mercy,
Wait,
not for me,
yeah.
but for them.
Oh, does that make any sense? That you can use that as a card to play later of it's my children who are being
Punished.
that me punishing you for your intentional acts, knowing that it can result in harm to them. It's my fault.
I never said it
No,
was anyone's
that's the
fault.
way. No, sir. This
That's
is
for
all about
mercy.
you.
I didn't say
and-
it's Stephen's
and
fault.
let me
That's
just-
not- yes,
Let me
sir.
just say, it didn't take much for me to look into my children's eyes and decide I'm going to be the very best person I can be, and I would do nothing to hurt them. And I'm sorry, you can't figure that out. Your own children, you know that your acts have consequences to others who rely on you. And you've got to pay those consequences, and unfortunately, they suffer too. It never was hard for me to figure out if I was about to make a bad choice, I wiped that out of my mind really quickly because I didn't want to hurt my children. It wasn't that hard to see how my problems could directly affect them. All right. Once again, I find that allegations 1 and 2 have been proven true by a preponderance of the evidence or greater. This motion to revoke probation filed on August 9th, 2022 is hereby revoked. And you are hereby sentenced to confinement in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice to serve a term of 4 years. You will be given credit for time you have served in accordance with that. And this, again, the judgment reflects that this is a crime of assault, family violence, and it will be placed into the judgment. And the
Thank you.
pre-sentence report is given back. And the court has been influenced in this one from Mr. Adams' plea on your behalf. You could be sentenced to 5 years, and this is the kind of case that gets it. Because these were violations that are two things. These are violations that are the most serious. You got a reporter, you're not on probation, and you decided not to from the outset. But number two, this court does not give you credit for blaming your mistakes on the harm that can happen to others, like your family. You are supposed to be third. Creators first, others, and most importantly, family are second, and I am third. Gail Sayers wrote that in his book. And it's a great story. And just by its title, I am third, is supposed to set examples that you should follow that you did not. That is all.
Under Texas Code of Criminal Procedure Article 42A.301, a court sets the terms and conditions of community supervision, including the mandatory duty to report as directed and to commit no new offenses. These are not technical rules. They are the legal mechanism that allows probation to function as supervised rehabilitation instead of incarceration. When a defendant stops reporting, supervision collapses in practice because the court and probation department lose the ability to monitor compliance. A single proven violation is legally sufficient to justify revocation. Here, the defendant pled true to committing a new offense and to failing to report. Either admission independently satisfied the legal threshold for revocation by a preponderance of the evidence. Because the underlying conviction was assault family violence, the judgment must continue to reflect that designation under Texas Family Code Section 71.004, which legally defines what constitutes family violence. That designation carries forward into the revocation judgment and affects how the conviction is recorded and treated under Texas law. In weighing punishment, the court emphasized the immediate breakdown in supervision after probation began. With the state requesting 5 years and the defense requesting 2, the court imposed 4 years in TDCJ credit for time served, finding the violations reflected a fundamental failure of community supervision.